Why did no one write a book? Hey, just run and eat plant-based. Hello, world, and welcome to another episode on a plant-based production podcast with your host, Skylar Heyman. Today starts a new chapter in the podcast endeavor as we are diving in solo, no guests, as you can see, in the podcast studio, and excited to launch Healthy Heyman. Healthy Heyman is the podcast segment presented by a plant-based production. All right, our first show is going to be focused on running. You might have realized that humans are able to run long distances, and we sweat, and the sweat cools us down. So we could run really long distances. In Africa, there's people all over the continent who are running super long distances in really hot weather, and the sweat cools them down. And dogs have trouble running really long distances because the fur overheats them, so they have to stop, breathe through their nose. Anyways, back to the point of we're born to run. And for me, this has been a revelation because when I was younger, I used to play all different types of sports, soccer, baseball, football. I used to lose my breath when I went for long runs, just 3-4 miles. Couple miles, I wasn't able to breathe well. And I was in shape and I was young. I just wasn't performing at my optimal levels. And I'm convinced now, after being plant-based for over 5.5 years, that my blood flow was not pumping as it should be. It's kind of like you're a Corvette or a Ferrari and you're putting in regular gasoline. That's a big no-no. So now that I'm 5.5 years into being plant-based in the year 2022, and I've found running, and I'm now able to run without losing my breath, I fully credit the lifestyle and diet choice I've made and transitioned towards my running success. And I'm not, busting out marathons on a monthly basis. I'm simply getting fit and staying fit. And running is by far the easiest, most efficient way to stay fit and lose pounds. And it's so simple that no matter where you are, if you have a pair of sneakers that are half decent, you could just go for a run, and it doesn't have to be anything extreme. So I'm just going to review some things that are on my mind for episode 1 with Healthy Heyman, and hopefully you could take away just one little nugget and I can inspire you to go for a run, because the best part of running is it's so efficient. You only have to run for like 10, 20 minutes. Here's a couple things. You want to be shameless. I know when I started running, you kind of think about what you look like when you're running, how your running stride is, or man, you're out of breath after the first quarter mile, or you're afraid of, wow, if I keep running, my knees are going to hurt. A lot of people are like, running can really set you back down the road. And running's going to set you back if you overdo it and you're running like, way too much and you're just pushing it too hard. Invest in yourself. The beautiful thing about running is it's so affordable. All you need are shoes. Go to a running store, get a running specific shoe. And if you have flat feet or if you have super high arched feet, they have sneakers for all different feet. So there's really no excuse. Go get a pair of running shoes. Then headphones. All right. I love my Bose SoundSport. Not these. These are the Quiet Comforts. These are not good for running. They sweat and are super uncomfortable. Go get a pair of wireless headphones. Okay. Be shameless. Invest in yourself. Because the feeling you get after you run is like no other. You really do feel more confident. Learn how to breathe when you go on runs. practice breathing just in and out through your nose. It might be difficult at first, just like anything, and then you're slowly getting better at running faster while breathing slower. And that's the goal. Can you run faster and run longer while breathing slower through your nose? I think also some people are a little bored of running. You start running for 5 minutes and you're like, brain starts wandering. Listen to some music, sightsee, look around, wave at people, listen to a podcast. The boredom of running will slowly subside the more you get into it. You'll realize how good you feel after running, and then you'll be craving longer and longer runs. Next thing I want to mention, super important, the beautiful part of running is you can mix it up. There's all different ways to mix up your runs. Mixing up runs will really make it beautiful. I went on a run on the beach from Leucadia, California to Cardiff, 8 miles yesterday, all along the beach going one way, and then I hit the road coming back, and it's such a nice change of pace to see the ocean and the beautiful scene, and then kind of get a little energy from the people. You can also mix up your runs with speed versus distance. So you're obviously not going to run 10 miles super fast. Whereas if you ran a mile, you might run it a lot faster. So the more you run, the more you feel better, the more you see weight come off, and you're like, holy cow, that was way too easy. Why did no one write a book? Hey, just run and eat plant-based. And that's the whole point of this podcast, to just make life a little easier. The key, I would say, is discipline. So, all this information is great. If you're grinding 3-4 days a week, going on runs, and then you kind of lose it, like I used to do during the weekend, that's fine. Just know that if you stay disciplined, you'll see results faster. The confidence after a run is extreme. And, it's important that you know that mixing up those runs, and hey, if you don't want to run fast, don't run fast. Just run slow. And if you're afraid of what someone might think that you don't even know that's looking at you like, wow, that person's running slow, screw them. Who cares about what that person thinks? They're not running. So you'll realize the more you run, how few people actually do run on a consistent basis. And, it's really backwards. I got into running about 3 or 4 years ago with my friend Matt Olson. Matt suggested we run like a 5K, had a great trail run at Lake Hodges for the 5K. Then I kind of ramped it up. Another friend of mine said, hey, let's run a half marathon. Ran a half marathon, 13.1 miles in an hour and 45 minutes. And then kind of built up my next run to 16 miles. And then this past November in 2021, I decided to run my own marathon. So I didn't sign up for a marathon. I didn't run with anyone. I had, a water pack, some snacks stuffed into the water pack, and decided to run my own marathon. And that was a great accomplishment in my life. And, what's next? Who knows? The point is, mix up your runs. You could run a marathon or you could run 1 mile. The key is discipline and consistency. Okay, you are tougher than you know. Chad Wright on Rich Roll Podcast. This is a great episode for mental toughness. Chad Wright said, don't give pain a voice. And by that he means when you're running or doing something, if your feet hurt, that's fine. Keep it in your head. Once you go outside and verbalize, that's when you slow yourself down and mentally become weak. So if you're on a run and your knee starts bothering you right away, or your feet are hurting, obviously there's a threshold. You have to know yourself. If you're in real pain, shut it down. Walk back, go home. If it's just a little soreness, keep it in your head. Like Chad Wright said, don't give pain the voice, and push through. Maybe slow it down. Maybe change your style of running, change your gait. So I played soccer my whole life and I'm left-footed. And I pulled my left hamstring when I was younger. And before that, when I was 8, I broke my tibia fibula and shattered it skiing. My first time skiing, my third day into it, broke my left leg. Then fast forward about 11 years later, I'm going back for sophomore year of college, and I play soccer, just a pickup game before going back to school, like a couple weeks before, tear my ACL and my meniscus, all on my left leg. I've rolled my left ankle, stretched out my left tendons in my Achilles. My left leg is super busted. So why I'm telling you this is to tell you that you're tougher than you realize. I have a completely bum left leg and ran a marathon no problem. If you have an ailment or your hips hurt or your feet hurt, try to push through. Like, slowly build up your stamina. You will surprise yourself if you play the consistent card. Do not try to be a superhero and set a personal record right away on your running endeavor. If you don't know where to start and you are from ground zero and you don't have running sneakers, go get running sneakers. Try to run 10 minutes out, 10 minutes back. Super simple. Okay, last couple things. Again, you're listening to Healthy Heyman, a plant-based production. We are talking about running and the importance of running for everyone. Balance your purpose. And what I mean by that is, do you want to push yourself or do you want to run for enjoyment? And this kind of goes back to mixing up your runs. You can't just always run for enjoyment. You need to push your body sometimes. And you can't push your body all the time. You're going to injure yourself. You need to taper down and enjoy some of the runs. So set a little bit of a purpose. Are you going to push it? Are you going to go for speed, distance? Have a purpose before you go on that run and stick to it. All right, last thing, I mentioned this about 5-10 minutes ago. The run communities. I got involved with the Coastal Run Club, and it is so amazing having a group of people to run with. Even if you don't make best friends with those people, belonging to a group of athletes, people who are ambitious, people who want to get energy out, who want to improve their life, is so good for you. It is amazing how the running community is so accepting and loving, and running will save you like it has me. I am so excited to launch this solo podcast, Healthy Heyman. Have a great day and go for a run.